Beasley.
That they're going to have to address no matter how this season ends.
Oh, the Indiana Pacers haven't won a playoff series in a decade. They're going to have a chance.
Yeah, just one game at a time. Here's the deal. We have 2 games left at home. They have 1 game left at home, right? That's how you can look at it. And so the first thing is we have to win the first game at home, and then we can talk about the rest after that.
Why? Why? I don't know why. I don't know. Never been in a fight. You? No, but that's a good thing. No, it is not. How much can you know about yourself? You've never been in a fight. I don't want to die without any scars. So come on, hit me before I lose my nerve.
Coming over tonight. Hell right. Everybody's throwing down on a Friday night somewhere.
See, that's the difference between us. You think we're fighting, and I think we're finally talking.
You ain't done nothing if you did it.
Mike Keller joins us now. Doc Rivers has become the consummate positive spin guy, and I'm here for it. I'm okay with it, Heller. I mean, one thing after another, it's been just he's figured out a way to say, well, look at it this way. Ever since they lost the final game of the regular season to cough up the 2 seed, he's like, well, now we don't have to worry about things. It's good to know we've got our hotel rooms all lined up. Portis goes out of the game last night, the interview him mid-game, and he's like, well, we're going to just figure things out with the guys we got. Like, not a hint of anger, which I knew, Butchie, he had to be pissed off about it. And now as they sit here down 3-1, he's saying, well, we got 2 at our place. They got 1 at their place. Good morning, Mr. Heller. How are you?
I'm good. It's a good weekend for the Packers, but they didn't play. And it's a bad weekend for the Brewers and a bad weekend for the Bucks. We're always measured. I heard the rant earlier. Some of it I agree with. I love the passion of it, and mainly I agree. But I would ask the question. We go back to that. If I ask the question like Josh did, what you would go to?
Me to do? I know,
but we'll get there.
You.
But I do think
I focus on Doc and the Bucks.
Yeah, how you can't win this way. I mean, you can't win if you don't have your best 2 players, and then the guy that needs to step up, he's your 4th best player in theory. Yeah, Bobby, punks out. I don't know that the officials adjudicated that right, but that's still on Bobby. You just can't go there, and they can't win without those guys.
Bobby? You think Bobby's good?
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're gonna get. I want your take on Bobby. Yeah. I want to get one word. I want to get one word out there into the bloodstream, Heller. And you and I are the, if not oldest heads on the staff here. We've got the most life experience, right? I'm 56 almost. You are how old?
I got you by 4. I'm 60.
You're 60. That's fine. Yeah. KB
I'm
is
the
67.
old guy on the staff. KB is 73.
So 73.
I don't know where.
Here's the word. Here's the word that
no
comes from us old heads.
Yeah.
Who've done a lot of laps around this track known as being a sports fan, year to year, player to player, team to team, coach to coach. Acceptance. I accept that the Bucks are right now and will probably be even worse going forward. I accept it because when they traded for Lillard, I was all in. I said, I'll buy the ticket. I'll take the ride. I like our chances. It has been just a disaster, but I accept it. Acceptance. That's a key word, isn't it, Heller?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm watching that game yesterday, and you're doing it without Giannis and you're doing it without Dame. But even if they're on the court, this team is not young and juicy athletic like Indiana. I don't know what Indiana will do if they get to the next round. I have no idea. But I'm watching the other games as we went through yesterday and last night, and the Bucks don't have that juicy athleticism.
Young, juicy, and athletic. I love it, Butchie.
Hey, Mike, they don't play him. Marjan, have we seen Marjan at all?
He got burned last night.
Yeah, when nothing mattered.
Yeah, late. Jackson looks like he's a guy that has some of that.
Looks, but hasn't really had an opportunity.
Right, he's played twice in a series now. He played in Game 3 and Game 4. I don't know. I don't know where this team goes from here. There's a chance. Let me put a little water in the glass. Get it to at least half full. If they could find a way tomorrow night, they'll have a shot. because I would think still winning this series.
Okay.
I'm not predicting it. I'm saying if they can find a way tomorrow night with that home juice, that home crowd, they can find a way.
Walk me
and then
through it.
Well, you got to get Giannis back
Tuesday night.
I don't know.
Guess your best prediction. Who will play Tuesday night? Neither Giannis nor Lillard.
I think who they rolled out there last night.
Exactly.
Well, and they had. I mean, if Indiana doesn't shoot it ridiculous, and the Bucks, force them to make shots. They forced them to make shots. And Doc talked. I thought Doc did a great job of helping people understand why Indiana was getting open looks. Is that they had no choice with their 5 out on the court and the people they had available. They had to go trap. They had to go do other things and force Indiana to shoot ridiculous from 3. I don't think you can do that. I mean, I think the Bucks have to do that again. I don't think Indiana can do that again. In a normal circumstance last night, the Bucks get beat by 35 the way Indiana shot the ball. The Bucks fought their asses off in that game, and they showed a ton of heart. I don't know that they'll leave it in Indianapolis. I think they'll bring that to the court tomorrow night. If they can prolong the series, maybe you get that boost of getting a Giannis or Dame back when you go back to Indiana for a game 6.
Okay. Exit on the Bucks, then we'll switch to the Packers. Squint me the best case scenario for 2025 for this Bucks team. Squint me I want you to go, okay, if they can just and maybe squint the best case scenario, and then on the flip side, tell me your deepest fear about what could happen.
If I squint on this, it would be a Doc situation. He hasn't been able to practice with this team. He would have an offseason and a training camp impact on how they go about playing the game. He can look at their roster and work with Horst and say, we can't have this guy here. We can't work with him. Go back to the Mike Singletary. Can't win with him. And that didn't work for Singletary, by the way. that didn't work for that dude. If Doc gets that impact, and then they just simply have to put some younger, more athletic, whether that's a Marshawn or a Jackson or whoever that is, out on the court. Because I was saying this to Osarski last week. I said they looked old and slow. He disagreed with me, but I don't think there's any way to get around it. That they
Jimmy
are
O
an
disagreed
older,
with you on that
team. Yeah, he did.
Well, I guess I'm not seeing the same thing. You want young and juicy, Butchie. Oklahoma City up 3-0 right now on the Pelicans. They're young and juicy. Holy crap.
Yeah, but they had to go through a lot of you're building it there.
They did.
So the problem that I see is obviously I do think they're a step slow. I think a lot of that though comes from Brook Lopez. I think because of Brook, they look slow. So I don't know if I necessarily
they are slow.
Yeah, but
they don't look slow. They are.
Well, that's because Brook is slow. But in the pick and roll coverage, that's where the ball ends. That's where the game ends. Shot clock, you're ending in a pick and roll. So every possession, you're seeing your slow big. Last year, I really thought it was a point of emphasis to get a young athletic big in the draft or somehow. They didn't do that. And that to me is a glaring error as far as the front office not addressing that area. Because you can grow and you can develop if you have an athletic big back there that can protect, that can do the rim. They don't have that at all.
No,
and that's why I think the team looks slower than what it might really be. I don't think it's as slow as it is, but it looks that way because that's how the game ends every shot clock with.
Butch, I'm going to squint the best squint I can for next year. You tell me if I'm seeing anything here. Starts with Lillard surprising me and saying, oh, no, I'm not going anywhere. We got business to do. I love playing with Giannis. I'm getting acclimated here. I'm going to rehab this Achilles, however bad it's injured. I'm back next year. That's the first key thing, a surprise there. Then Doc, like you say, Heller, gets his fingers more into this team to figure out what they can do and what they can do better, and probably trade Middleton for something younger, as painful as it may be, to try to get some talent on the team, and then fight their way in as a 3, 4, 5 seed and do some damage next year maybe. That's my best squint.
No, I think
What am I
can
missing?
squint a little bit better because Dame and Giannis are still the top scoring duo in the league when they play together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is not NBA Jams, the video game.
No, but they're not
Heller's
healthy.
right. You need
of.
young, deep, juicy, athletic guys throughout the roster.
We don't have
They got
that.
nothing.
You do need to add. The bench is tough. Bobby is a bench player. Patsy, a bench player. That's an area of concern that I have. That being said, like we don't know. We talked about this in the 6 o'clock hour. One of the most frustrating things that the Bucks front office probably has in front of them is over the last 3 years, they don't know if the group that they've put together is good enough.
Right.
Because they've been hurt
on the court.
Because they haven't been on the court. You have that answer with Phoenix. Phoenix knows that the 3 that they put together is not good enough.
Not good enough.
They have that answer.
Would
the
you
Milwaukee
rather be
Bucks
us or
don't.
Phoenix?
I'd rather be Phoenix.
Oh.
For sure. Because I know it doesn't work.
Know?
Then I know.
Oh.
See, I would I would make a simple argument that if the Bucks are healthy in this series, they win.
They win.
I could make the argument last year against Miami in the first round.
They win.
They're healthy in the series, they win. And not knowing that is a huge issue. You know, that was a thing, even though it wasn't injury related.
Last 3 years,
that was the thing about Jordan Love. The one thing you had to find out last year is you had to find out that you knew. You either have your guy or you think you've got your guy or you absolutely don't. And what Phoenix knows now is that they don't. They've got to knock it down and rebuild it. But in the NBA, knocking it down and rebuilding it can take forever because you have to get lucky.
Isn't that weird, Heller? Isn't it weird that
Oklahoma City turned Kevin Durant,
Right.
Russell Westbrook, James Harden. They had those 3 assets, and it took how long to rebuild from those 3 assets?
Correct.
Those trades led to the kids that they have right now. Plus, on top of that, they also had Paul George. The Paul George trade is how they got
Paul
Shea.
George trade
Is how they got Shea and some more first rounds that they still have. They had to think about the assets that it took Oklahoma City to get. They had Paul George, Harden, Durant, Westbrook. Those 4.
And don't you always think about in the NBA, there is luck involved. I mean, Clay, that combination of Draymond and Clay to be with Steph, that's lucky. The Bucks get lucky because Giannis is the middle of a first-round selection that people said, who? And Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in Oklahoma City is lucky. The dude wasn't great. He wasn't one of these guys that is a can't-miss dude coming out of school.
He was
the
8th overall pick,
fortunate.
right?
You've got to get lucky. And the Bucks they got super lucky. I mean, good to go get Giannis.
I know.
But then super lucky that he turns out to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I would add that the Bucks haven't had anybody that they've grown that has done anything in the last, I don't know when. Who's their own draft choice, second round, late first round, somebody that turns into something since Giannis?
What do you got to go to, Chris?
Right?
Basically,
Giannis,
Chris.
I mean,
that's the thing.
That's where it ends.
Nothing since. And so
they've robbed the cupboard.
I mean,
to
you
try
got
all these
Thon
desperate
Maker,
moves.
you've
The
got
Jay
all these
Crowders,
guys.
the Pat Bevs, a lot of half ideas, patch ideas. It's pretty tough. My best squint would be Lillard surprises. They're a little fewer wins, first round exit again next year in the playoffs, and then they got to really plunge the reset. It's hard for me to see this not being the end of the current window to win a title, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Minister of Fandom can squint me a better 2025. Can you?
I think
Josh,
they just have to be
squint?
more ruthless and win now. I think that's what they're doing. They need to win now. They're not being
Holy
ruthless
buckets,
enough with
guys.
the moves.
I mean, this is unbelievable. If you look at this,
you got
Jabari
triggered-
Parker, Rashad Vaughn, Thon Maker, DJ Wilson, Dante DiVincenzo,
nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And DJ
All
was a big,
All right, Heller, you heard me top of the 7 o'clock hour deliver a very needed reminder to Packer fans that this team hasn't won squat in a long time. They haven't been to the Super Bowl. They haven't won the Super Bowl. And that teams like the Chiefs have won 3 and 5. Patriots won 3 and 5. That teams like the Buccaneers, the Ravens, the Rams, the Giants have won 2 since the time the Packers have won 2. So raise your sights. Start getting focused and thinking like winners, because it's not all about being nice fans and having a sledding hill and drafting a quarterback. And we can beat the Bears. There's too much of this celebrating, keeping the Bears our bitch. The world's bigger than just the Bears being worse than us. The floor is yours.
Well, I go back to the talking texter that sent in. Is that an affront on the fan base or the organization? Because if it's on the fans, it's on the fans. I call BS on that. I mean, fans have no
fans going to be fans.
They have no impact. The Philadelphia Eagles or Sixers fans and their nastiness, that has no impact on the organization's success on the field or on the court. Now, if you're talking about the official, not firing a defensive coordinator, that typically falls in the lap of the head coach. Is the head coach ruthless? Now, if your view on this is that as a head coach, they haven't been ruthless enough in Green Bay, that Matt LaFleur in that regard, it's not a word you use, but essentially you're intimating that Matt LaFleur has been soft. He didn't make moves when he had to.
I don't use that word soft. It's too pejorative. I don't use it, but I would say this. Matt LaFleur still has a lot to prove in my eyes. A lot.
Okay, so that's the part that I would understand. Nobody expected this team, and this is where I would go back to Josh's point. Nobody expected this team a year ago to do anything. I mean, I thought they were going to be on Hard Knocks. It was not a roster that was built to be a playoff team or have a playoff run. Now, they surprised us because they actually did it, because Jordan Love and that receiving room turned into something special, and Aaron Jones put the Superman cape on for the last 5 games. So they did something that we didn't expect, and I wouldn't look at that in a negative way.
They didn't win now.
But I would say that this year
there are no bye years in the NFL, Josh.
Yeah, but
they all count.
Steve, that's also BS. Of course there are. Of course there are. There are teams that are not.
The Texans are an in-your-face
won one playoff
example.
game, Steve.
They
won one playoff game, and now you're gonna hold them up to a
better
greater
question.
standard?
The better question, though, Mike, is should the Packers ever have a bye year? It's the Green Bay Packers. The expectations are to win now every year.
Butchie, that's also bull.
No,
it is.
That's what I'm saying. With the Packers,
you have to look at your damn roster and say, okay. All of a sudden, the whole fan base, like that idea, Butch, looks at it and says, well, the Packers, they're better than everybody else. They need to win every year. The expectation is a championship. That's crap. Yes, we as a fan base want that, sort of expect that. But for 25 years, they've only won the 2 Super Bowls. I get it. But overall, they have given themselves, they've had shots every year, and they haven't fallen to the bottom of the pack where they're picking number 1 in the draft 2 years in a row.
Matter.
What's the part that matters?
Winning Super Bowls.
Yeah, and this team has a chance this year to be a team that plays into that realm. They got a chance. Yeah. I would do this, since you're so high on Houston, I would do this, Zabe. I'll take the Packers over Houston this year, just straight up record. Because Houston, don't tell me Houston has arrived because they won a playoff game.
They figured it out.
And you're bitching about the Packers not getting all the way home when they weren't even they were supposed to be worse than Houston last year.
Look, DeMeco Ryans takes that job, and he is hungry. And he is like, I'm not going to wait around. They're not
Steve,
giving
he's
me
won a
bye
game.
year.
He's won one playoff game, and now you're anointing
They won the division.
You're anointing Houston as the next comer in the National Football
I'm not
League.
anointing. I'm saying that was a team that said, what? We're here to kick some ass.
What did the Packers say?
I think you're better. But guys, I think your better argument is this.
Score a touchdown in the first half for the month of October.
That was a measure a month?
I do think
team
the
that
better
goes in and does what they did in Dallas.
I do think the better argument than Houston might be Detroit, though. They've come in and they've changed the culture with Dan Campbell. They've been ultra aggressive.
They still didn't win.
Josh, I'm still finishing here. Their general manager came in and it was aggressive. Now, after how many years of losing, you guys know how hard it is to change an organization after you've been known as losers forever. Like, they've done it a good job. They've been ultra aggressive. Now, where does that take them? What does it do? Can they sustain it? I understand all that. The Packers have been able to sustain it. But at times, I do feel like they have lost the aggressiveness because they're more worried about sustaining the success of playoffs versus winning Super Bowls.
All I would ask about the aggressiveness is the examples. And I like Steve's examples earlier. You had 2 defensive coordinators that you hung with. But
special teams guy on the D coordinator,
yeah.
But also else? Pettin was terrible.
What else are we missing on the aggressiveness? What else should they have been doing?
Should they have gone out and made a trade? Should they have gone out and the now part? I think this started because everyone's excited about the draft, but we don't really know about the draft.
I can go back to a couple of years ago and agree with you on OBJ. If they'd have gotten OBJ rather than the Rams won a Super Bowl. I think in part because they got OBJ.
That's all.
I think the Packers could have.
I think there's some moves that could have been made that they would have been a little bit more aggressive with. That could have possibly given them and pushed them over the top. They just never do that.
You know what the ruthless move would have been? Trading Rodgers a year earlier to Denver for an absolute haul of
you are such a hypocrite.
Zabe, that's tough to do.
You are such a hypocrite.
He just won an MVP. Like I've never seen that happen.
Also can't affect
That's called being ruthless.
And you the air, if they would have done it, would have ripped them to shreds because you were on the other side of it.
We don't know what I would have said.
Ride with Aaron. I'm riding with Aaron.
I said ride until the wheels fall off. I was Rodgers today, Rodgers tomorrow, Rodgers forever.
You were.
I probably would have ripped the move. I probably would have disagreed vehemently. Probably. We don't know. We'll never know, Heller. But I'm just telling you, when you asked me what would have been the ruthless move, because I on the couch don't have all the information. I don't have the landscape of what a complete wackadoo egomaniac Rodgers had become. But Goody knew. Rodgers showed his whole ass with the whole cell coverage in his house in California thing. And if I had known that he had become that guy, yes, I would have gotten out a year early for that much in a trade. I also wasn't on the phone with Denver to go, yeah, and yes, we're going to do this. It's going to piss off our fan base. The Sledding Hill lines will be a little bit shorter this year, but we are doing this to be ruthless. Maybe I would have liked it. I don't know. So you asked me, what could they do that's more ruthless? There are examples. That's all.
Do now.
But Josh, now you're asking that question now on April 29th.
I'm getting yelled at right now. So what do they do now?
The Packers have to swim against the current of their unique status of the ownerless franchise with the best fans in the league. These are compliments, Heller. This is a tide. It's just what they exist in. They've got to swim hard against it because it prevents them from being necessarily ruthless. To be the franchise, we don't do that. Do you know how many things that are not football related I could tell you about? We don't do that.
They cut Aaron Jones. They said, we don't care about your feelings. We're going to be ruthless. And they did. Guess when they did that? Way more recently than Aaron Rodgers crap or Drayton crap. So I don't know.
Maybe they're turning a new leaf.
Okay.
Hey, how about Bobby Portis?
So then we don't got to yell at him. So then we don't got to yell about a change because they're doing stuff.
I'm not yelling.
Oh, you're not yelling.
What? I can't stand. I'm telling you. I told you basketball-wise he was selfish.
All right. A lot more on the other side. Heller, today you're going to have a spicy show from noon to 3, and then you're taking a group on a wine tour to California. Good for you. Yeah. Bring me back a nice red. A red that pairs well with a steak.
Well, yeah, that's all we drink.
The house will be fine for him.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, Mike. As always, a pleasure. Mike Heller, everybody, noon to 3 right here